So with our handsome Mr. W, I wanted to work a little bit with some of our loose leash walking. So I know we did a little bit last time where he was off of gear. I would recommend that if, let's say, working in the beginning with gear on is difficult for you, chewing is so hard today for the poor handsome guy. So what I would recommend is have sometimes gear on and sometimes gear off when you're practicing. If, for example, the only time you work him is when he's off of gear, then the problem is sometimes gear then starts to equal we're going outside or we're going for an adventure. And then sometimes the gear itself, oh my goodness, sir, can you chew them up? Then he might start to think that the gear is the bringer of more excitement and then start to have a rougher time as it comes out. So remember, ready, find it, we dropped a snack. Good job. Is we want him to start thinking that, for example, gear does not always have to be, lose your marbles with excitement or anxiety. Oh my goodness. And then from there, do a little bit of practice from both. So sometimes off gear within the home and other times on gear. I tend to, if you've noticed with him, you can work him on the left or the right, whichever one makes more sense to you guys. I recommend get him comfortable with both. So I tend to hold my leash on the opposite side and then feed for the puppy next to my side and next to my leg. So that way, as he's practicing, the fun stuff happens by the side of my leg. What some folks do by accident as they feed, the puppy's now in front of them, and then they wonder, why is the puppy constantly cutting me off or getting into my legs and tripping me up? So remember, loose leash walking is one of the harder skills for most all pups and dogs because of the fact that it involves, for example, multi-steps. So your dog is moving, oh my goodness, but at the same time, so are you. And a lot of times the environment is very stimulating. So notice how, again, he's doing a real nice job, though, keeping all four on the floor. If you're getting a lot of popping, remember this could be your puppy's only way to say, I'm having a hard time and I either need more assistance or I need another rest period, or maybe they're getting overwhelmed with the environment. So again, as we're practicing, we're feeding for by the leg. If you also find that, for example, nice job, sir, with gear on, you are getting a little bit confused with all this stuff, I would recommend to go back and forth, like I mentioned, between the two. Oh my goodness, I even tried using squishy snacks today, but I think chewing and walking and panting are just lots of things to think about. We get a little stuck with our snacks. The other thing that I would recommend is a lot of times, ready, sit, yes. We tend to, for example, hold the leash around our wrists. Again, if you prefer that, you can definitely do so. But remember that at times you might want to be able to let go because maybe your steps are slippery, and letting go means you don't slide down the stairs in a way that could harm you or land on the puppy. So I tend to normally take my leash, the loop hole for the handle, and I put it on my thumb. And then I close up the leash to the length I'd like it to be at, and then hold it there. So then when I put it through my thumb, then I put it through my first finger, and then I close my whole hand around the pile of gear. So now this way, if I ever had to let go, I could do so. So remember, if he prefers the left or the right side, whichever one makes sense. But now again, my leash, I could, if need be, let go or give him more length, and none of it is tethered around my wrist or my hand. Because that's a great way to sadly cause injuries to you when you may need to, of course, let go in a safety situation. This doesn't mean I'm saying to let him go like when you're by the highway or something that could be dangerous. But sometimes when you're practicing in the home front, being able to drop gear and practice going in and out can be very, very beneficial. Nice. So right now we're just feeding for all these little moments. Mr. Z says he's very lonely in the distance. He already had his turn, but of course he'd rather be out the whole time. But it is important to take naps and rest periods throughout the practice time. So if, for example, Mr. Handsome is, let's say, pulling, that's normally a signal to his comfort range, his understanding, or how well we've explained how to do the loose leash walking. So the jumping, again, I completely ignore, and I'm going to feed when all 4 feet are on the floor, or help him by doing some find its, or replace the jumping with something I would rather. But I'm going to give him a little breather from the leash for a moment. And then I want to work a little bit with some again, find it, and then with some checking back in. So remember, find its can also be a great way to get your puppy comfortable honing back in on you, but also remember movement behaviors are sometimes much easier for a puppy that is feeling overwhelmed and doesn't quite know what to do with their body or their mind at the time. So again, I'm going to go right to his little sniffer. He doesn't know what I have. I'm going to go find it, have him go run to go grab the item, and then from here we could go, Winston, yes. And we could start to reinforce those beautiful moments for name recognition as well. Ready? So again, I'm going to throw a little snack off in the distance with that find it. These could turn into, again, name recognition. You can, again, just feed as he comes into your space if you were obviously busy or distracted and you weren't actually asking with the cue. But the benefit to these behaviors in working with find its is this is the foundation to your recalls, to then reorienting back to you. So like, let's say you did a find it. He's like, it fell out of his mouth. So let's say you're doing a find it, and then from there you're feeding for when he reorients back to your side, left or right. He can then start to associate that coming back into your space and being by the leg is what you're hoping for. So again, I sometimes just go and disengage, go move around, and then see if the puppy comes and hones in. He's like, guys, there's some weird noises in the building again. Nice job, sir. And if he hones in on me, then I feed him for that. I'm sorry if my mic sometimes I poke it with my face. Nice. So again, we're just going to move around. And if again your puppy is all of a sudden doing a really nice job honing in, he's like, which side am I on? Ready? Nice. Feed for that. So good boy. Nice job, sir. Oh my goodness. Chewing. So ready? We can go into a little sit. Gorgeous. So remember, stationary positions are awesome, but only if the comfort range is there too. Otherwise, then stationary could equal, I noticed that you're having a hard time, and now I want you to be even more sort of stationary, which could create more of a fizzling over behavior. Nice job. Good boy, Mr. W. So we'll give him a little break from this, and we'll try another couple skills.